Have you seen those reels and TikToks made by Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone, Joel Kaplan, all those big names with like the text that pops on the screen, the emojis and all that stuff? Well, today I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kevin. I help you make videos that don't suck and actually make you money. So today, this is actually a longer version of a training that I did in my group just a few minutes ago. I have a Facebook group called Video Marketing Secrets, where I teach all sorts of tips and tricks on how to use video to actually make money. So this is a little bit more of a longer, more detailed version. I don't know exactly, I haven't edited it yet, so it's probably going to be in like the 20 to 30 minute range. And it's going to go over a lot more of the details of like what I'm actually doing. If you want more of like the Cliff Notes version, that's going to be in my Facebook group at kevindubose.com/group. And I'll drop a link down in the description as well. But that's going to be, like I said, a lot shorter. It's going to be straight more to the point and just kind of talking about the principles and things like that. So if you want the more detailed version, you are in the right place. And real quick, I do want to say that I will be using Adobe Premiere Pro. I know there's a lot of other softwares out there. That's totally fine. This is just what I happen to use. And most of what I'm talking about is conceptual. It's not specific to a platform. There's a couple little things like presets and the way the captions work and things like that. But for the most part, it's pretty conceptual. And real quick before we get started, I do just want to show you what the finished product looks like. It's actually ended up being a longer reel, about 57 seconds. But go ahead and take a look at it just so you can kind of see what we're working towards and what the finished project is.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better? It really depends. If you're already creating long form content like YouTube videos, have podcasts, course content, speaking events, anything like that, and you're not repurposing it, then you're letting that content live a very short life and you spend a lot of time and effort to create it. If you can chop up that piece of long form content and make dozens of pieces of micro content, it will make that longer piece of content live a longer life, and then you won't have to worry about what to post every day, and you also have more time to spend doing whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only creating 1 or 2 reels a week or posting a story every now and then, you're probably not getting too many sales generated directly from your content. If you want to drive people into your products and services using only the content that you create, then you need to create more long form content in order to have a direction for somewhere to go after they consume your short form content. And that way that builds demand for your products and services and takes them to the next step of your process. If you want more video tips like this, click here to follow on TikTok and here to follow on Instagram.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is kind of lame. I'm not going to lie, but it's about file organization. It's super important when it comes to editing videos like this because it's hard to explain. Like if you have something somewhere on your computer and you delete it by accident, like in your downloads folder, you try to go open up this project later, it's not gonna be able to find the file, and you get the red screen of death. If you've ever played with Premiere Pro, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, so this is how I usually organize my folders in like the project folder on my computer. So I have my video projects folder here, and today is the date with the long versus short form, and I usually have 3 folders. So I have assets, which are any sort of like logos, text, photos that you want to use, like anything like that, you know, sound effects, music, anything like that. It's going to go in the assets folder. The exports are where I send the finished product once I export it. And then I also have like the raw footage. So directly from this camera is going to go into there. You can see this is the clip from the video we're editing. This is actually the clip of the video I'm shooting now because I actually messed up the intro and I'm reshooting part of it. So anyway, those are our 3 file formats. Or our 3 folders, and then this is of course just the project file for Premiere. I save it in the same folder. So from here I'm going to take this file and I'm going to bring it into Premiere. That's the red screen of death I was talking about. But I'm going to go ahead and delete this because it's the same file as the one that's labeled footage. I just hit enter and renamed it footage. It's the same exact file. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one and put it here. But what you're going to want to do is, you know what? I am actually going to do it again. I'm going to create a new sequence from clip because I'm reshooting part of this. So let's go footage new. All right. So we're going to go here. This is like the second one that I'm working on. We're going to turn this, go to the sequence settings, and we want to go to 1080 by 1920. So it's going to turn it from this way to vertical. I'm going to hit OK. So now that the picture is that way, we've got to change like the actual video file and rotate it. So I'm going to go to rotation. I know off the top of my head because I've done this a couple times, it's negative. This particular one is negative 92 because I was a little bit like crooked here in the picture. I didn't set up my camera super well. Negative 91 here looks good. And then I'm going to scale it up a little bit so it fills the frame. And then So now that I've got the frame in there, I think I might go back to -92 here. I think that looks better. I don't know, personal preference here. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I always bring this down so I can see the audio waves, because that way you have a good idea where like the breaks are. And so what I'm going to start by doing now is going through and finding the good stuff. So I think I have the audio turned on right. So as you can see here, I'll play it through real quick so you can see it. But like whenever I say a line, I usually say it a couple different times, so that way you get a little bit of practice, and like when you get to editing, which is right now, you can kind of see which one you like the best and which one to roll with for the final edit. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this.
Which is better, long form or short form content? Long form or short form content, which is better? Long form versus short form content. Is long form or short form content better?
So I think you get the idea, just kind of giving you variety so you can, see what works the best once you get to editing. And I think that's pretty much it for what I needed to re-record. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump back over to the original recording, and I'll be in the same spot. I kind of like that one the best, actually. So in Premiere Pro, you want to use your shortcuts as often as you can. So here I'm going to press the letter Q. That's going to cut off the entire beginning of that before that phrase, because none of those were good ones. You can go and use the razor tool and go here and adjust it that way. Using shortcuts is way faster. And then here I set this as a custom shortcut that you can do in preferences here, or keyboard shortcuts. You can change it to add edit for the letter X. So I'm gonna put a cut here, and then I know that I might use one of these three. So I'm gonna hit Q again. That's gonna cut out all of that middle space in between there. Hope that makes sense. And so now
long form content versus short form content.
I might keep that one too. And then so I hit X again, and then I hit Q on the left side of that piece. And so now I'm just left with these two potential
long form
here.
Versus short form content. Long form content versus short form content.
And so now like I can kind of go through and do like a once over. I'm going to cut off the beginning of this one. And now I can kind of go through all of this and then come back to it and then kind of get a second opinion. So now if I hit the minus key, I can zoom out to the whole clip. So I already know that I can go ahead and delete this. I'm going to hit the letter Q, kind of that blank space there.
Which one's better? Well, the short answer is that it really depends.
Go and cut that there, cut out this blank space, and then I know
if you're already creating long form content,
I know that I struggled with this line for a while.
If you can chop up that piece of long form content and make dozens of if you're already creating long form content like YouTube videos, have podcasts, course content, speaking events, anything like that, and you're not repurposing it, then you're letting that content live a very short life, and you spend a lot of time and effort to create it.
So I kind of like that line. So I'm going to cut on both sides, not using Q or W, just hitting X. I don't want to delete this yet because I didn't really go through it. But I know that this line took me a while to get out, so I can kind of skip over some of that stuff and try to find the best part.
If you can chop up that piece of long form content and make dozens of pieces of micro content, it will make that longer piece of content live a longer life, and then you won't have to worry about what to post every day, and you also have more time to spend doing whatever it is that you want to do, whether that be spend more time with your clients, more time with your family, and have more freedom.
I think I like that one too. I think I did that as like a to add on to here. So here's a little shortcut hack. So instead of like moving this up a track and then moving this down and then moving this over and then moving this over here, what I can do is I'm just going to hit Control Z to undo all of that, put it back to where it was. I can grab this, go over here and hold down Control, and it'll automatically put it in between here. It'll slide that one over, then you go over here and delete that space. So now I can kind of see what these two flow like together.
If you're already creating long form content like YouTube videos, have podcasts, course content, speaking events, anything like that, and you're not repurposing it, then you're letting that content live a very short life, and you spend a lot of time and effort to create it. If you can chop up that piece of long form content and make dozens of pieces of micro content, it will make that longer piece of content live a longer life, and then you won't have to worry about what to post. Have podcasts, course content, speaking of
computer kind of froze there.
Events, anything like that, and you're not repurposing it, then you're letting that content live a very short life, and you spend a lot of time and effort to create it. If you can chop up that piece of
okay, so I know that was stuff I don't want. So now we've already got it down to like 7 minutes, which is still really long. But there's a lot of stuff in here that wasn't good. I know that just because I remember recording it. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward and chop all of this down, and then I will come back as soon as I get it condensed down to about 30 seconds. All right, so I've gotten it shortened up down to, this is not going to be a 30-second reel. It's going to be a 60-second reel. There's a lot more information in here than I thought. But right here is a good point that we want to try to condense the amount of space and time in between each clip as much as possible. So here you can see that there's a pretty big gap here. And I'll play it real quick so you can kind of see what it sounds like when you play it back.
Then takes them to the next step of your process. If you want more video tips,
it's a pretty long gap for a reel. So what we want to do is, you can see the sound wave down here as it ends right about here. So I'm going to hit the W key and trim off the end of that. And I can see that I don't start talking until right here. So now I'm going to hit the Q. And now I'll see it matches up a lot better. There's a lot less dead space. So let's play it again.
And services then takes them to the next step of your process. If you want more video tips,
it's a much quicker cut, but sometimes the sound sounds a little bit harsh. So what I do inside of Premiere is I'll highlight both clips and hit Control D. Oops, no, I'm sorry. Control Shift D to add a audio a crossfade here. It's actually called constant power, but it's essentially the same thing, where it kind of fades the two clips together, so the transition isn't as harsh.
Step of your process. If you want more video,
it's not as noticeable there, but there's some clips you can see that, you know, there's a lot of chopping and in and out and stuff. So it helps just smooth out all the clips so it's not as noticeable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to highlight all of these and hit Control Shift D one more time. And then so that way it applies this crossfade in between each clip. I'll kind of play the first like 10 seconds so you can kind of get a feel for the pacing of it. I won't play the whole thing. We'll watch the whole thing at the end.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better? It really depends. If you're already creating long form content like YouTube.
Okay, so I think you kind of get the idea there. The entire thing is, let's see here, about 56 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save. Premiere Pro does crash sometimes, so I always remember to save frequently. But so a lot of times you'll see them kind of zoom in and zoom out to keep the attention. So what I'm going to do is on this first part,
long form versus short form content.
So on long form versus short form content, I'll probably zoom in here a little bit. So I'll go to scale. It's at 106 by default, because remember we zoomed it in a little bit to cut out the frame up there. And actually another thing that I'm going to do, whoops, I'm going to undo that because I don't know what I just did, to be honest. There we go. I hit a key by accident. All right, so the frame is actually like a little bit crooked. So I'm just going to change this a smidgen to kind of straighten it out. That looks better. That's at negative 92 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control C right there, copy, and then I'm going to paste attributes here. I'm just going to click motion, which is those transform effects. And now it's going to straighten all of those out. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so now I want this one to be zoomed in a little bit. So I'm going to go to scale, and I'm going to go, let's say 120. So let's see how it's zoomed in now.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better?
And then when it goes to that next clip, somehow there was a gap there. So I'm going to hit the letter A, grab all of these clips. I need to add that transition again. Sorry if I'm going a little
content.
fast.
Which one's better? It really depends.
It kind of zooms back out there. And I'll probably just zoom back in here a little bit real quick. Maybe go over here a little bit. Maybe go down here. When you're doing these, you want to try to keep the eye line the same, so the cut isn't as jarring. This is kind of getting a little bit nitpicky. But I am a video guy, so a lot of times I want to try to make it look as good as possible.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better? It really depends. If you're already creating long form content like YouTube videos, have podcasts, course content, speaking events, anything like that, and you're not repurposing it, then you're letting that content live a very short life, and you spend a lot of time and effort to create it.
All right, so now that we have all the audio transitions, we have it cut down to about 57 seconds. I'm going to go through here and do some of these like cut zooms again.
Then you're letting that content live a very short life, and you spend a lot of time and effort to create it. If you can chop up that piece of long form content and make dozens of pieces of micro content, it will make that longer piece of content live a longer life.
So now this block right here is zoomed in.
To create it. If you can chop up that piece of long form content.
Okay, and then it'll go back to normal.
That live a longer life, and then you won't have to worry about what to post every day, and you also have more time to spend doing whatever it is that you want to do. Now, if you're only creating...
See, this is kind of an awkward cut, so I'm going to delete this. And I think that this was cut off a little bit early, because I know I kind of went off into a sentence. Like, so if I go back here and play the whole thing, you can see that I didn't actually end the sentence there, so I'm trying to fake it.
That you want to do, whether that be...
So I wanted to cut it off before I said whether that be.
That you want to do, whether...
Want to do. So I know this wave right here is where I start saying whether that be. So I want to make sure to cut it there. Hit the letter A key to grab all of these clips. Put it right here. Oh, I see the magnet's not on. Let's put that back on so it bumps right up. And then I want to try this audio transition again. I might need to play with it a little bit. Maybe shorten it.
Want to do what now if you're that you want to do what now if you're only
I want to cut out this now, so maybe do that.
Whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only creating
I might need to take that.
Doing whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only creating
That's a really awkward transition, but I'm probably going to have to leave it, unfortunately.
A longer life, and then you won't have to worry about what to post. Live a longer life, and then you won't have to worry about what to post every day.
Wait,
what you want to do. If you're only
that's where I was.
Whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only creating one or
It's kind of awkward, huh?
If you're only whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only creating one or
So let's see here. I think I might do a little video magic here. Maybe create like a little pause.
Doing whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only
and then maybe put a little like this here so it kind of fades it out.
Whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only creating...
It doesn't sound great, but I think it sounds a little bit better and a little bit less jarring.
Whatever it is that you want to do. If you're only creating...
There's at least a little bit more of a pause there.
It is that you want to do. If you're only creating 1 or 2 reels a week or posting a story every now and then, you're probably not getting too many sales generated directly from your content. If you want to...
Now here's where I start talking about if you want to generate sales using your content. I'm going to zoom in because people are going to want to pay attention to that.
Services using only the content that you create, then you need to create more.
So I'll probably zoom back out here. Oops, let me move this back over because it's at an angle.
Then you need to create more the content that you create. Then you need to the content that you create. Then you need to create more long form content in order to have a direction for somewhere to go after they consume your short form content. And that way that builds demand for your products and services and takes them to the next step of your process. If you want more video tips like this.
So I kind of, I did a little call to action here and I did it backwards, so I had to reverse the clip.
If you want more video tips like this, click here to follow on TikTok and here to follow on Instagram.
So that's what that'll look like. But I did the angle. So it looks kind of weird. It looks even more angled there. There, it looks a little bit more straight, even though it's backwards.
And here to follow Instagram. Tips like this, click here to follow TikTok and here to follow.
So I'll probably do export 2 different versions. This is what I'll upload to Reels and TikTok, and then if I do a story, I'll probably do it without that because those buttons don't apply. Okay, so now I'm going to save, even though it just auto-saved. And now is the next part that... let's see, I'm gonna move this down a little bit. That looks weird.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better? It really depends.
Okay, so now I want to auto-transcribe sequence. This is the cheat code. All right, so audio on track, mix, transcribe, post, in and out point only. I don't really set an out point, so I'll just go ahead and hit transcribe, and it's going to pull in all the words that I'm saying in the video. Okay, so now it has transcribed the entire video for me. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create captions. Create from sequence transfer. Create blank track. Maximum length in characters. We want it to be pretty short. So let's go like 18. I should have a set number for this, but I don't. This is actually a new feature for Adobe Premiere Pro, and I've only used it a couple times. So minimum duration in seconds is, let's do 3 is good. Gaps between captions, no, I don't want that. We'll do double lines. Subtitle defaults. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and create these captions. And then now what I can do is I can click on this particular caption. And we're gonna probably want to edit these. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and change the font on them real quick. Essential graphics. So I use a font. I'm gonna go into my favorites here. Use Blambot. So I'm gonna make it bigger here, but not too big. And then I'm gonna move this window over here. All right, so I can kind of get this in the area that I want it centered. That doesn't really look centered. I guess my face isn't centered, that's why it doesn't look centered. But now once I get like the general size that I want, then I can I'll save this as a track style, and I just use it one because it doesn't save between projects, it saves within a project. So I'll just do one, and then right here I'll click on this one piece of subtitle. I'll hit Control C to copy. Whoops. Yeah, and then I'll highlight all of these and hit this, and then it should, and so now it changes all of these to the same font and like the same general style. But what I want to do is I might want to change this a little bit actually, and I want to change the line height so it's a little bit more close together, kind of like that. And then this is kind of a workaround. They might have fixed this, but the last time I was playing with it, you needed to create a new preset, so I'm just going to call this one 2. And then so what I can do now is copy and then apply this to all of them again. And so now that way the line height is better. Okay, so now we're probably going to want to go tweak some of the words. So here we're going to do, probably want to delete this one, and then because we want like one graphic of long form versus short form as like the title, right? So
long form versus short form content. Which one?
And then we can go in and make individual tweaks once we do that.
Form content. Which one's better? It really depends. If you're already creating long form content like YouTube videos, have podcasts, course content, speaking events, anything like that.
So right now I'm just going to fast forward again and just kind of go through the basic editing of them, and just to make sure like the grammar's right and like the slides are right, and then we can go in and make some more customizations. All right, so the captions are pretty much done. There's going to be some tweaks that I make just when I want to have emphasis on certain words. So I'm actually going to have to make a custom one for this because I want it to say like long form versus short form like as I say it, so it's a little bit more engaging. So I'll probably actually delete this one because it's on a specific subtitle track, and there's less customizations that you can do there as opposed to what am I trying to say? There's less customizations you can do as opposed to like a normal text track. So this is just like a text preset that I have here. So I'm going to go ahead and put long form, and I'm going to use my orange font here so I can change the, I'm going to want to add a stroke, but I'm going to want to change the fill to this orange color. So I'm going to copy this C66A31, and then so I'm going to go here, say C66A31, and then here I'm going to drag this to white. So now it's you can see that it's orange text with a white outline. Stroke is the outline. And then I want to change the outline to like 10. There you go. So here I want it to show, let's go like long form. So I'm gonna, if I want it to show up 3 separate ways, the easiest way that I've found to do it is to have 3 separate tracks, 3 separate text tracks. So here, I know this one is going to be sequentially the last one, so I'm going to move it down. And then, so now I can change this to short. And then this middle one is going to be the verses. So let's go verses, and then maybe I'll make this one a little bit bigger. What am I doing? And then I actually want to do this fill. Whoops. I want to go back to the white and black for this one just to create a little contrast. Add this back up to 28. I just have these numbers memorized as like the fonts that I like. So now we have like the animation down. We just
long form versus short form content.
So now we can see like there's a little bit of overlap here with this subtitle. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to put that here.
Long form versus short form content. Long form.
So I can see the waveform is right here where verses comes up, and then short form is about right there. So let's change the position here just a little bit to change the spacing, and then this one we're gonna go down a little bit. So long form versus short form, that looks kind of weird. I'm gonna maybe turn this down just a bit, and then we'll go back and add some sound effects here in a minute. But
long form versus
cut that off.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better?
Okay, so that's kind of that. Like I said, we'll go ahead and add some sound effects.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better? It really depends. If you're already creating long form content like YouTube videos, have podcasts, course content, speaking events, anything like that, and you're not repurposing it, then you're letting that. Which one's better? It really depends. If you're already creating.
Okay, so I'm going to do something a little bit tricky here. So sometimes you see the text where the text changes colors as you say it. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. I don't typically do this very often because it takes a lot of time. So you're going to see I'm going to do it if you're already creating. I'm just going to do it for already creating. So essentially we're going to need one where it's all white, one where only already is a color, and one where we're creating is a color. So that means we're going to need 3 of these. So I'm going to hit Alt and drag these right here. Then I'm going to try to make them about the same. It doesn't need to be perfect.
If you're already creating,
so we know creating ends right here, so that timing's about right. So we want to go to this middle one. This is going to be our already one. So now we're going to go pick that color C66A31. Oops, I only want to highlight that, change the fill to C66A31, change the stroke to black. No, I'm going to do stroke white. I'm sorry. And then so now we get that first effect. If you're already creating. Okay, so now we need to do the creating part. And then so we'll highlight creating, do fill. We're going to do this C66A31 again. And then change add the stroke to white so it kind of pops a little bit more. So now we can go back and play it.
If you're already creating long form.
You can see that effect.
If you're already creating long,
maybe this first one we'll do like if you're C66A31, add the stroke to make it white, and then so now we have the effect all the way across.
If you're already creating long form content like.
All right, so that's kind of a general gist of how to customize the subtitles. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward again through the rest of it, just so you don't have to sit here and watch me do every single one. But I'll kind of walk through it at the end once I add, or I'll meet you back once I start adding sound effects and things like that. What's up? Kevin from the future here again with a little extra friend. This is my daughter, Adeline. She's going to be joining us for the rest of this video because I realized when I recorded this video originally, my mic stopped working, so I need to re-record some of it. She's checking out my beard here. I've even got a bottle here if I need to give her a bottle while we do this, because I want you guys to get the full experience of how I actually edit videos, because this is how I actually edit videos. So let's go back to screen share here. All right, we're going back here and we're about to add some sound effects. We got all the subtitles situated. We're going to add some sound effects. So here on the beginning where I do the long form versus short form content, make sure my mic's working this time because that's why I'm reshooting this. I'm going to go back to my It's hard to see. I got to move the mic. Got a baby's head in the way here. Short form SFX. That's my sound effects. I'm going to go to the pop sound, which is the sound that I want here. And I want it to play as soon as... I'm hitting the plus and minus keys on the keyboard to zoom in and out, by the way. But I want the pop to go right when this long form pops up. So
long form.
You can see as soon as the text pops up,
long form,
you hear the sound. I know just from using these sound effects before that usually put these at around -10 decibels, because that's the volume. Like, you don't want the sound effects to be too loud and overpowering. You just want them to be there and noticeable to just give a little bit of extra oomph to the video. And then I know that I want it to show up when the verses shows up and also when the short form shows up. So I'm going to hold Alt and drag each one of these, and it'll create a copy. So now when I play it back, when it goes long form versus short form, you're gonna hear it pop every time that text pops up. So let's play it through real quick.
Long form versus short form content. Which one's better? It really depends.
All right, and so the next one I wanted to show you is back here. I say something about generating sales.
You're probably not getting too many sales.
So I can see right there on the waveform is where I say the word sales. So I'm gonna go back over here. I'm gonna grab my cash register effect. My sound effect, and I can see the sound starts about right there. I can actually hit Alt left and right to just kind of nudge it one frame either way. And I also know that this one's kind of loud, so I'm going to put it on about -10 as well. But now when I play it back and I say the word sales in the video, then you're going to hear the cash register.
Probably not getting too many sales generated directly from your content.
All right, so that's there. You can see I already have these done already because it's me from the future. And then I'm trying to think if there's any other ones. I mean, most of these are pretty much the same. We can kind of talk about like impacts a little bit, because that might sound silly to you, but right here,
it really depends.
I put a sound effect in there that it's called whooshy punch. Kind of silly, but you can see like the crescendo of the sound effect is about right there, and I want it to line up when I say it depends. So let's play it back. It's probably going to be pretty loud. I'm going to turn it down in a second after I edit it.
Which one's better? It really depends.
That was way off. So let's try it again here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down because that was pretty loud. Let's go -10.
Really depends.
That's still pretty loud. You know, I edited it with this and I thought it sounded cool, and now I'm like second guessing myself that it doesn't really sound that good.
It really depends. If you're already...
That sounds okay. Just for the sake of the video, we're going to leave it. And then I think that's pretty much it, because the whole point of that was like hitting the impact on time. And like for these short reels, like you don't need to do any crazy sound effects or anything. It's just to kind of keep the engagement there. And the finished product, I can pull that back up here if I go over here to reel. Like I put several sound effects at the beginning, and then I kind of had to pause for a little bit because sometimes the sound effects get annoying, at least to me. And then I kind of put one in the middle. That's the cash register, and then I put some at the end when I start giving like a call to actions. But that's pretty much it for the sound effects. And the absolute final touches that I put on are color and an audio effect over my microphone of me talking to make sure it sounds good on a phone. Hi, are you trying to say hello? She like keeps looking at me. I guess my beard's tickling her face. But anyway, so I already have the adjustment layer here, but I'll show you how to do it. So you're going to right click in the project window, go to new item, and you're going to go to an adjustment layer. And what this is going to do, it only affects everything under it. So I want to make sure it's under the text so it doesn't change the color of the text. But what I want to do here is go to effects. I have some presets made. You can use Lumetri color if you don't have that. I have a preset called TikTok color. I guess I'll go and pull up Lumetri color here just so you can see it. Lumetri, okay, you're not just going to show up. There we go. So Lumetri color is going to go here, and then you can go to the graphics. Oops, no, I'm sorry. Go to Lumetri color, and then you can adjust the exposure. You can adjust the highlights, the the color temperature. Turn the exposure way down, but like you can just adjust the picture. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this over here on the left because I have the preset that I want to use. So I'm just going to go to my presets, TikTok color, and I'm just going to slap this on there. You can see it's very simple. It just kind of brightens it up a little bit. In fact, I might brighten it up just a little bit more. And I use the scopes here just to, basically you want it to be kind of in the middle, just to keep it simple without going into too much detail about color saturation and things like that. Might bring up the shadows just a smidge too. That's a little too much. Just there to kind of even it out. Maybe crush the highlights a little bit too, just to kind of bring that down. I might even bring the whites down just a smidge. But if I turn that layer off and turn it back on, you can see it just kind of brightens it up and makes it a little bit more even. So that's really it for the colors, all I do for Reels. The last thing I'm going to do is I have an audio preset for my microphone as well. So I have this KD internet video audio preset. I'm just going to slap this on this first audio file here. And you can see I already have it there, so I'm going to delete that. But what it is a multi-band compressor. I use the internet delivery preset. It doesn't sound the best. It sounds really like nasally and it takes away all the bass pretty much, but it makes it actually really cut through and sound decent on a phone, which is where most people are going to be watching this anyway. So that's the preset that I use. Sometimes I kind of tweak with the settings, but for the most part, I just leave it default. And then I have a hard limiter, so the audio doesn't peak. It basically just cuts it off at a certain volume, so you don't get that loud distortion. And I set it to -6 decibels. You can see that right here. And then, so once I do that, I'll just right click and hit copy. And then once I copy that, oops, I'll go ahead and do it. Right click, copy, and then I'll highlight the rest of them. And I'll right click again and say paste attributes. And so down here, I can just check these effects of the limiter and the compressor and then apply that to all of them. I'm gonna hit cancel because it's already done, but you can see these little colors are purple and green. That means they have effects on them, which means you know it is applied. So like if I go to this random clip right here, you're gonna see those two effects, the compressor and the limiter. But okay, so color, sound, we got the sound effects in. And so this is the final one. I showed you the final one at the beginning. If you want to watch it again, go back to the beginning. I don't want to add another minute to the video. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Addie and I really appreciate it. Maybe I'll just be that guy who edits videos with his baby. That'd be kind of funny. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And also, like I said, if you want the shorter version, that's going to be in my Facebook group. I just did that live I guess about 2 hours ago. But if you want that, go to kevindubose.com/group, join my group, and I'd be happy to have you in there to hang out. Addie would be too. That's what she just said. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.